The next topic, I don't know if Stephanie's going to add a little bit, but we're talking about the risk and reward when it comes to investing. So once again, when you want to be able to tell them, you want to be able to tell them, you said, just imagine this for a moment. If you're in a situation where you're able to cross the street, a busy street, let's just call that Blue Mound.
Yeah,
okay?
use the street name that they know.
If you were next to me and I blindfolded you and asked you to walk across the street, what success ratio would you have if assuming it's kind of like during the dinner rush hour? I wanted them to be able to picture that for a moment crossing the street and how dangerous it is.
Right.
And what happens if you open up your eyes though? The chances are a lot better. What happens if you go to the crossroad where there's a walk and do not walk sign over there? I mean, you get in a situation where it's safer and safer. Although when we first talked about it, it was so dangerous. Okay, so what does that got to do with risk and reward? Because we say when it comes to investment strategies that there's low risk, low return, high rewards, potential higher returns. Okay, and that fears people, but I want to let you know that there's elements of education that takes away some of the risk. Okay, there's elements of being aware of the circumstances that take a risk. Does not eliminate the risk. What I do is when I talk about the risk and reward is I want to be able to tell them that they want to be able to get the rewards. And what is the rewards? The elements of when you save, what you can be able to do with the money. And when I ask people, I just specifically ask the students, let me ask you this. What would your retirement be like if money and time was not an issue? Okay, what would you do? Share with me. And I would talk to a specific student, and here's the beautiful thing about that. I would be talking directly to the student, and he would think that I'm having a conversation with him one-on-one, but it's in an environment, in a setting with an entire room, and he'll share it with me, and I'll share him a little bit about mine, and then maybe I'll ask somebody else, and ask somebody else, what would you have? Some material. And this is where I talk about with the rewards. And then I talk with what shared with Steph, the rule of 72. I'll bring back some of the other things where they can actually apply and say, listen, if you get a 1% rate of return through the rule of 72, it'll take 72 years for your money to double. Let me ask you this. What type of lifestyle are you going to have if it takes 72 years for your, what did you use, $3,000 as an example to double?
I think I said 10,000.
10,000, and it takes 72 years. Add 72 years to your life. So give them this picture of what it's going to be like and what it would be like. And then I'll also tell them, I says, a Happy Meal is probably going to be $72 at that time. Okay,
right.
So I talk about the risk, reward, and then I talk about the different vehicles, because here's what happens when you talk to these students. If you talk about the whys, they will remember the hows. But if you teach them the hows, they'll forget everything because they don't have the whys. Okay,
so it's not important.
It's not important to them. So I tell them these stories, and hopefully it sticks with them, and it works, because a lot of times when you have reflections, because I've done this for college kids too, the things that they remember is the story. Now I'm hoping that they remember the moral behind the story or the application of the story, because I always thread it together. I'll always thread it together. It's not a random story. It's never a random story, but I have to be able to bring it back.